you need to remember is that feelings are not real.
You're listening to the Absolutely Cosmic Podcast.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Absolutely Cosmic Podcast, where we talk about anything self-improvement from the nerdy perspective. I'm your host, Joshua Salgado, and today we're going to be talking about how to make yourself feel better from an objective standpoint. These are the mental things that I do, the strategies, philosophies, if you will, the three of them that I do to keep myself at bay as I'm pursuing my dreams and goals and building this channel. Speaking of channel, if you guys love the content that you're seeing here, you guys love the podcast, please do consider subscribing on whatever platform you're on and sharing it with a friend so that we can reach more people, help more people, and really just spread the knowledge and experience of others as we have guests, as myself, who I travel the world as a C-130 Loadmaster in the Air Force, and share my knowledge that I am gaining currently with self-improvement through the brand Cosmic Absolute. So let's get into it. Here are the three things that I do to make myself feel better. And there's no set in stone thing, but again, these are the three things that I do. So first of all, I did a little versus battle here. Internal gratification versus external gratification. We'll explain more in a minute. Unrealistic expectations versus realistic expectations. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how feelings are not truly real. And this might trigger some people, but this is the truth that I think a lot of people need to hear. And I know for a fact that if you start implicating some of these mindsets and just this philosophy, these thought processes, you might feel better. Okay? So let's get into it. So number one, we're going to talk about internal versus external gratification. The question I'm going to ask you is, who are you doing that for? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you pursuing? Why are you being the person that you are? And if it is because of someone else or something else, whether it's an organization or a person in your life, and I don't mean from a selfish and selfless perspective. What I mean is if you're trying to please and gain the gratification or acceptance of somebody else in a way of, I need to get this certain amount of money, this certain wage, I need to work this certain job, I need to have this certain occupation, I need to be important in some way because that person will accept me, whether it's a woman, whether it's your girlfriend or wife's family, whether it's your own family. And that's where I get the external versus internal gratification. I went through this myself, and I won't say exactly who, but there were people within my circle, family, that were putting pressure on me because of the path that I chose with the military, as well as pursuing content creation and wanting to be a business owner. That was part of my struggle, is I started going back to school to be a biomedical engineer. Where the fuck did I get that interest from? I don't know, but it wasn't an interest of mine. It was what I thought other people would accept me for and look at me better. I was trying to fulfill other people's prophecies of what they thought I should have had because I should have been a provider and the standard formulaic model that we see in today's generation. And so I fizzled out. Like, I was doing poorly in those classes. I was dead. It pushed me to the point, or one of the factors of why I was in a very dark spot that I talk about on the other podcast. It was one of the factors that was moving me to that level of mindset. And so I realized I need to make some personal, mental, emotional changes. I realized that all the things that I was pursuing, my idea of being good at something or being fulfilled, building a career, was all based on other people's ideas. It was all based on what other people thought of me. My entire life I lived, that was a large portion was, what do other people think of me? Oh, if I act like myself, being goofy and twitchy, as you guys see on my social media, then people won't accept me. People are going to think of me as weird. And that was literally like my thought process is, oh, does this person think I'm weird because I let a little bit of myself out? And I guess that's a whole nother social part of it. But when it comes to fulfilling your life, let's be blunt here. You're doing whatever it is you're doing in your life for other people. You're going to be burnt out. You're going to be dead. You're going to be depressed, anxious. You're going to feel like shit. You're not going to feel better by doing things for other people. So you need to switch to internal gratification over external gratification. What I mean is, what you're pursuing in life, does it fill the cup? Go pursue your dreams. Again, I'm going to quote something. you do a disservice, and I don't know where I heard this. You do a disservice to your community, to society, and to the world by not pursuing your dreams, because you are leaving out the most passionate, the most obsessed, the best version of you and what you can provide to the world, right? And if you're living your life based on what everybody else thinks you should be doing and where you should be at, you're going to forget to learn the lessons of life for the places and the pace that you're at, opportunities that you will have at the pace, at the place that you're at, okay? And I want to drive that home because I feel like this is the most important thing for a lot of people is we think that we need to impress people, that you need to live life for you and provide yourself with what you need internally, externally. It's not just a monetary thing. It's not just a material thing. And it's all onto you. What we as people need to do. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? And also do the dividends, do the battle of saying, I just need to go outside of what people want me to do. I need to do what I need to do. And that's what happened with me is, I'll tell you, I was pursuing a degree in biomedical engineering. I never wanted to be an engineer. Like, I love sciences. I love technology. I love just learning about things. But I didn't want, that's not what I wanted to do. I always wanted to go to school for film since I was in high school. Since I was younger, like when I was a kid, I had little cameras I'd take pictures with. I'd watch literally superhero movies, and that's what inspired me. That's why I wanted to go into film, is to create things, not necessarily in that sphere, but that flavor of movies and media that I could imagine. And my dream in life was always to create something, whether it was a movie, and it will be. That's the end goal, to create a comic book, to create media, to create characters. I just wanted to create since I was a young kid. And I've always wanted to start a podcast and a YouTube channel, so I started one. And a lot of people will think it's goofy. People are going to judge you. People are going to shit talk you. People are going to look down on you for doing what you're doing. People are going to judge you for not going to their status quo of what they want you to do. Because people, unfortunately, a lot, and it's always from your personal circle. It's always the people that are going to be very hard on this is going to be your personal circle. They're going to come down on you and say, you have to conform to what I think you should do because that's what I think is good for you, and that's what I think and I want to see you do. That there's very few people in life usually that are going to be like, oh, listen, you pursue whatever you want to pursue, just work for it and find the way to get there. Now, I'm not saying again, just be a bum. What I'm saying is, if you want something and you truly want a lifestyle, you want an occupation, you want to be a different person, you want to be better in a specific way, you have to do it from the point of internal gratification. It fills your cup. It makes you feel fulfilled. That when you're pursuing this, you feel like on that day where you get rest or that few hours or that meal, that lunch break, you could feel like, wow, I'm doing what I need to do. I'm pursuing my dream. And this ties into the next step, because I talked about don't be a bum and just dream. But we're going to talk about realistic expectations versus unrealistic expectations. Set your goal up, even if it's impossible, like the highest goal that you could ever have. Regardless, set it up, put it up there. But set the steps to get there. Create the staircase to get there of 10, 100, 1,000,000 steps that it takes to get to your goal and do it. Take action. But what I'm going to talk about is we have this, and I think social media has amplified this to the core. Social media started off as a way to connect and show off essentially your accomplishments and your material goods. Let's be honest, that's what Facebook was I finished college. Oh, I just graduated this. Oh, I just did this. I just traveled the world. You're showing your best self, which is good, which is okay. But what it doesn't show is the struggles that human will go through. I could go rent out a Lamborghini, take pictures in it, take a video in it, make a cool edit, but I could be broke as shit. So we created this belief, especially with social media, that when you see someone on the internet creating content, and it's not even just on the internet, but it could be your family, friends, accomplishing things or doing things, you think, oh, it just happened instantaneously. And I think a lot of people see the virality rates of today and don't realize that, a lot of these creators started pre-COVID. A lot of the major podcasters, a lot of the major YouTubers, a lot of people started before the pandemic. And so we're now seeing that kind of progression, that blow up. And a lot of people think, oh, you start a YouTube channel, if you build it, they will come. I was guilty of that. When I started the t-shirt shop last March, I was guilty of that. I thought, oh, I make a website and people just land on it like that. An unrealistic expectation. My expectation was that you just do something and it happens. You didn't realize that there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes pursuing what you want to do. It could take years before anyone ever sees your YouTube channel. It could take years before, like you could take months to years writing the best book or the best story. You could take years becoming a doctor. You're not going to realize how much work it takes in the beginning. Let's just be honest. And so we have this unrealistic expectation that, oh, I just do it and I'm going to blow up. So when you fail, when you're slow, when it's not working out, when you're not hitting that goal of being, you're going to be like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm just a piece of shit. I'm not worthless and whatever it is. And it's not just social media. It's life. You pursue something. You go to be the best at it and you start and you realize, oh, I'm shitty. You're putting all this effort in and you're putting days and you don't realize that it took all the people that you look up to, regardless if it's sports, like Mike Tyson, let's say Muhammad Ali. These guys spent years training. You don't realize that the years of training, the years of time that it takes. But let's talk about Todd McFarlane for a second. He's the creator of Spawn. He's one of the founders of Image Comics. It was like the first large-scale independent comic book company and publishing house back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, I believe. But I recently listened to a little video on his biography of where, how he got started. He applied and sent his artwork to 700 different comic book publishers. 700. Now, let's even take it back further in his life. He was working as a tradesman, a blue-collar job. He went to trade school, and then he'd get out, and he'd draw. He had a baby on the way. He had his wife. He was living in a trailer, and he has this humble beginning. And now and love him or hate him because people are giving him shit now all over, but he created Spawn, which is like one of the most, loved independent comic book characters and comic book stories and lines of all time. Like, he created Spawn. He drew Spider-Man. He worked on at the big two, both DC and Marvel, but he hopped back and forth. And so people will look at someone like him maybe and say, oh, he seen how big he is now, having his own, he has a whole toy line, McFarlane Toys, and he's a millionaire probably. He's really wealthy. He's really successful. He's really good at what he does. He spent years, nobody knew who he was. He was working a blue-collar job, pursuing his dreams after the fact. And so people don't realize and have all these unrealistic expectations that I started today and tomorrow the success comes. And that's not the case. And so we often beat ourselves up for not getting to where we want to fast enough. We have this timeline of, I need to get things done so quick. What I'm getting at is that give yourself time. Give yourself the grace to fuck up. You're not going to be good. I say that on all these other podcast episodes, like, oh, give yourself time, give yourself grace, fuck up, just start. But it's the truth. It's like, just start and keep going for 10 years and see where it leads you. Like, that's just the truth. You can't expect anything. Life is like a lottery. Luck is not just something that some people get lucky. Like, you just keep working until you find the luck. If it takes you 30 years, I don't give a shit if it takes you 30, at least that's my mindset. If it takes me 30 years to get what I would dream of. And so we beat ourselves up and we feel like shit. So the best way to feel better is just give yourself the grace to fail. Give yourself the grace to fail. And when you're starting to feel like shit, this leads into the third topic. When you're starting to feel like shit because you feel like, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, I'm never going to get to my dreams. You start getting in the rut. You start digging your own fucking grave. There's what you need to do. Here's the thing. Here's what you need to remember is that feelings are not real. We are reactionary. Mammalian brains are reactionary in nature. Everything that you're experiencing is reactionary. It's based on the event or something that is happening. So your feelings and your thoughts are reactionary to stimuli that is happening in the world based on our sensory organs. I just said a lot of words really fancy, but that is the truth, is that we are reacting to the world. And regardless of how crazy you want to get into psychology or biology, the reality is that those thoughts, like you going through childhood trauma, you can't help that, first of all. You can't stop that events from something terrible happening from your childhood. You cannot. It's just the truth. Things happen, okay? But what you can do is realize that those feelings that you're feeling are not true to who you are. And when it comes to self-esteem and feeling better, like how to feel better, when you're feeling like shit and you feel like you're not good enough, you're not doing good enough at something, and that ties into the last thing, you have these unrealistic expectations of having mounds of success day 2. When you start to just understand that those feelings are not rational, like you're doing good for where you're at, you're doing excellent for where you're at, and you just need to keep constantly picking one thing, get better, just keep growing, and just let yourself have the time to fuck up, let yourself have the time to fail. Keep pursuing the goals and dreams that you have in your heart, and just give yourself the grace to get better. Because again, if I wanted to play the piano today, like if I wanted to learn to play the piano today, do you think that I could go up there and start playing Beethoven and Mozart and classical music? No, I can't. I'm not going to know what I'm doing. So you have to just give yourself the grace and understand that those feelings of feeling like shit are not they're not rational. It's just a reaction. It's your brain. It's your reaction to something that happened. Yes, objectively, you may have done something and done it very shittily, and you may lost an opportunity there. But if you just keep going, these are all things that take time to work on. But if you take a breath as it's happening and realize, accept the feeling. Don't disregard it, but accept the feeling of I feel inadequate because of X, Y, Z, and say, but those feelings aren't true. And then pick something that you've done great, even if it is the thing you failed at. I may have failed out and dropped out of the marathon. I may have gotten injured and I feel like shit because I didn't train, I didn't do the proper whatever. But that's what I feel. How many people actually end up running a marathon? How many people actually train for a marathon? You may have not gotten the highest SAT score. You may not have graduated college with the highest GPA, but how many people pursue college? How many drop out of college? How many people do not finish college education? And so giving yourself that grounding of understanding that just by doing and just by pushing yourself to be better, that is how you grow. Again, going back to the beginning, hopefully these 3 things really helped you guys. I really hope that these are 3 things that I work on every single day. I want to help others. I want to entertain others. Hopefully, if you laugh at me and my mustache, my goofy hairdo, my twitchiness, I want to entertain and make people enjoy it. I want to put myself out there. 2, unrealistic expectations. It's going to take a long time. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And number 3, I may feel like I'm not doing enough. Take a step back and just realize that those feelings are not the truth. Those feelings are intangibles. They're just reactions. And start looking at the objective results that I've built up. And if I haven't built up objective results, then I'm going to start building up more objective results. And if I haven't, then I'm going to start building them up. So I hope you guys really do enjoy this podcast. Again, if you guys are interested, please do consider subscribing down below. It really will help out grow the channel so that we can keep creating content. We can keep upgrading what we're doing and how we're doing it. Again, I want to thank you guys for listening. Peace.